All right, rich man's war, poor man's blood. You know, they always say if rich men had to fight in wars and if they kids had to fight in wars, there would be no wars.
So the concept of war is just mind-blowing to me. Essentially what it is,
This one here is by Antonio Talks. It should go without being said, but for those who care.
you have rich men, specifically white, but they have these disagreements with each other. And instead of them, I guess, handling it man to man, they be like, F that. I'm going to send my poor people out there and you send yours. And we'll see who killed the most. Like, it's just so crazy to think about. Now, a few days ago, man, I woke up to some crazy news. I heard that Trump bombed Iran. Everyone was online making jokes talking about, oh, we finna go to war, finna do this, finna do that. And realistically, man, America isn't going to feel any downsides to this. One thing I can say, man, is that in America, bro, we do have a privilege. America is like the biggest bully in the world. Folks is not going to try this country. Now, there are all types of theories of why Trump bombed Iran, but one that I keep hearing the most is that it has something to do with Israel.
This war with Iran is...
I heard that it's because he just needs a big enough distraction from the Epstein files. That's crazy shit. Let's just go send million people out to get slaughtered. That way I can take the attention off the Epstein files, man. That's some crazy shit though, but you know, whatever. It's all about money at the end of the day. War is money.
not America's war. It is Israel's war that America is fighting on behalf of Israel using your tax dollars.
Imagine dying for Israel. Ooh, that's crazy.
You see, Iran is a threat to Israel's existence, and Israel will never stop until Iran is completely neutralized and they have full control over not just Iran, but of the entire region. Mainly because Iran is one of the largest sovereign nations in the region. They have no U.S. military bases, there is no U.S. embassy, and there is no U.S. puppet running the country like there is in the region. And most importantly, Iran supports and funds all of the groups that are fighting Western imperialism in the region. Very important to know that the Palestinian resistance would have never made it this far without the support of Iran. And you shouldn't take my word for it. You should listen to Palestinian martyrs like Nazar Banat, and you should watch this video on YouTube. Netanyahu knows that there is a small window to take out Iran right now, which is why they have tried to convince and pressure the U.S. to join them in this attack, mainly because in the last 2 to 3 years, Israel has killed the top leaders and officials and generals in the Palestinian and Lebanese resistance, and also some of the top leaders and generals in the Iranian military. Today, Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini was killed in an Israeli strike. So what does this mean? It means there is going to be an all-out regional war, which is why so many people have been ringing the alarm trying to prevent this very moment. But here we are.
And y'all know what's crazy about this, man? Depending on what branch of military you're talking about, man, it's always overrepresented by the smallest population of people in this country, which are the poorest people in this country, is minorities, right? You got Hispanics and black overrepresented in the military. In the Air Force, they like, you know, I don't know the exact measurements, but it's anywhere close to like 20%, man. That's crazy for us to only be 13% of the population. And then think about people who are actually old enough to enlist in the military. And then think about people who actually want to go. It's only a handful of people, and so many of them are African American, which is crazy. The Army has like 8 or 9%, you know, the Air Force probably like 17-18%. It's a large number to say that we're only 13% of the population. So when people are talking about war and stuff like that, man, shit, a lot of black people are going to be participating in this. And I know they ain't signed up for this shit. We ain't the type of people who want to just go out there and fight people who ain't done nothing to us. Just like Muhammad Ali said, man, them Vietnam people ain't never did nothing to me. You my enemy over here, like over right here in this country.
Iran is not going to go down without a fight, and neither are any of the groups.
And that's the thing, bro. People are going to die for something that could be avoided. And these people could care less because it's not them.
Support and fund in the region that fights Western imperialism. Everyone is going to fight like their life depends on it, because this is the moment, okay? And so the U.S. and Israel are not only going to attack Iran, but they're going to open up the prison gates to allow ISIS and Al-Qaeda fighters to take over the region and cause absolute havoc. And the US is going to use this to make the case as to why they not only need your tax dollars to fund this war, it's why they're going to need your children to fight this war.
And this, I want to say this again. These people have a problem with free school lunch, free breakfast, but have no problem with our dollars going to shit like this.
Billions of dollars going to shit like this. That you got to say that, billions, man. Shit, they got, Tupac said it, bro. They can't feed the poor, but they got money for war.
These people will fight you hard now. No, my tax dollars is not going to feed these kids, but it can go blow up some innocent people though. You know what I'm saying, bro? It's crazy.
As the mainstream media continues to focus their reporting in Iran on the killing of the Ayatollah, a murderer himself, let it not be lost that the United States and Israel earlier in the day, during school hours, struck a school for Iranian girls. The current death total is up to 115 people, almost all of them children, some of them the teachers. The United States and...
Sorry to interrupt again, but I mean, America could care less about kids. We see school shootings every day and still nothing is done. So, I mean, shit, and also, I'm going to show y'all some other instances of just how evil these folks is. But that's...
Look, I want to show y'all something.
It's extremely sad, bro. I'm a father, so it's like, damn, bro, come on, man.
I want to show y'all something right here. Look how they play with y'all with the news, dog. Iran says dozens are killed in strike on school, right? It's questionable when Iran says it, but it's law when Israel said it. 9 killed in Israeli city near Jerusalem after Iranian missile strike. See the wording? They play with y'all, bruh. It's alleged when it's them, but the people who control the narrative, the news, they said this absolutely happened. Man, America's being ran by Israel, dog. It is what it is, man.
I don't see...
Israel have 2 of the greatest militaries in the entire world. Our ability to act with precision is unmatched, as evidenced by operations in Venezuela and now in Iran. Knowing that the United States and Israel have these unmatched precision operations, why would they bomb a school for girls? Why would they bomb a school for girls in the south of Iran? Did one of the Ayatollah's daughters go there? No. If she did, does it matter? Should children suffer for the crimes of their parents or grandparents? No.
Quick side note, at least once a day, I get a comment or an email asking, how do I do this YouTube thing? How do I make reaction videos? If you're interested in making money on YouTube and not just arguing in the comment sections, I run a private YouTube growth group. We do weekly calls, live channel audits, and you get to see how other creators are making money, plus how I got this channel to where it's at 37,000 today when it only had 3,000 in October, and how I plan on making this channel go to 100K before the end of the year. Link in the description.
You bomb a girls' school when you're trying to kill the bloodline of a nation. You bomb a girls' school to horrify that nation, to terrorize parents, and to cut off the future of that nation.
Now, there are a lot of details surrounding this war in Iran right now, but one thing I want to talk about specifically was how these leaders, these rich white men, could care less about their own people. I believe 3 American citizens have died as a result of this war. And I want y'all to listen to what Donald Trump had to say. And you can just hear the lack of empathy in his voice, bro.
Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends,
there would like...
Doesn't he sound like Lord Farquhar? Yes, some of you may die, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. That's what he sounds like right now. Guys, I want to show y'all something, right? This is a Marine combat vet, I want to say. And he's very, very displeased with the way Donald Trump is. And he's white. This is crazy. All right, let me turn the sound on. I want y'all to see this.
Lieutenant Colonel Assad Khan Lieutenant Colonel Khan was my 1st Battalion commander at 1st Battalion 6 Marines. He was the one leading me and thousands of other Marines into war when we deployed to Afghanistan as Battalion Landing Team 1-6 Special Operations Capable in 2004. My battalion flew into Kandahar Airfield and then pushed north into the Oruzgan province in Afghanistan. We were the first American unit to push that far north. We were tasked with establishing forward operating bases and conducting combat missions to seek out and engage the enemy. And again, we were the first Americans to push into this part of Afghanistan. We were there for months, and we were in firefights almost daily. And while a lot of Marines were injured in these firefights, we only lost one, Corporal Ronald Payne. When we returned to the States, we met up with our families, and my dad told me of a conversation that he had with Lieutenant Colonel Khan while they waited for us to turn weapons and gear back in. According to my dad, Lieutenant Colonel Khan was on the verge of tears because he felt like a failure because he wasn't able to bring everyone home. Thousands of Marines were led back home by this man, but Corporal Payne didn't get back home, and that meant that he had failed his Marines and himself. So when I hear the Filet-O-Fish in Chief say this...
Did this man just say the Filet-O-Fish in Chief?
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
The callousness that this walking syphilis virus shows to the lives of the people he is sending to their deaths
and he's a draft
makes
dodger.
me so fucking angry because he doesn't care who dies in his ego war just so long as he gets to fucking wage it. Meet Lieutenant Colonel.
Yeah, he was not happy at all about this. This is someone who actually seen combat, man. And a lot of them don't have any respect for Donald Trump, dog. Straight up. Not all of them like this man, bro. I don't want y'all to get it confused. Not all of them fuck with him. And then there's another clip that I'm going to show y'all later to let y'all know how serious this is. So if you hear any MAGA people saying that this is just going to be a walk in the park, bro, they are sadly mistaken. I'm going to show y'all that later, though.
Likely be more. But I bet you if Donald Trump, if any of his sons were in this war, he would try to come to a truce immediately because he wouldn't want any of his blood to die. But since it's everybody else, since it's the peasants, he could care less. There are going to be more. Just not none of mine, though.
I want to correct you, young man. He would not call for a truce or anything like that. He's going to use his money to make his son be disqualified to go to war. For instance, something that a lot of rich people do, they get a doctor to sign off on some bullshit that says that they're physically incapable of doing what is required to be in the military. And I think that's what he did, right? They paid the doctor to basically say he had like a club foot or some shit. I don't know, something crazy like that.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all go fight this war. I'm going to reap the benefits. Man, I'm telling you, boy. I'll serve crack before I serve this country, my nigga.
Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible
Not crack, bro.
where that won't be the case.
Now, this whole situation has upset so many people that one of the biggest, people on the right at one point in time, Nick Fuentes, a white supremacist, he came out and he had this to say.
The movement is something else now. And what we need in 2028, this is our last chance. We need in 2026 for this administration to be shut the fuck down. What does this administration do other than cover up the Epstein files, embezzle?
That's another thing. All of this could be a ploy to, get everybody mind off the Epstein files. And I mean, honestly, he didn't even have to do this because nothing was going to happen regardless. A bunch of rich ass white men who ain't nobody gonna prosecute them. They gonna prosecute themselves.
Money through government contracts and bring us to war for Israel. This administration needs to be shut down immediately. Do not vote in the midterms. And if you do, vote for Democrats. Fuck this.
Damn.
That is what
Did he just say vote for the Democrats? What? Interesting.
Republicans deliver. That is what our golden age looks like. The tariffs were refunded. The deportations were stopped. They wound down and withdrew the ICE from Minneapolis. What does this administration do other than embezzle money, go to war with Iran, and bury the Epstein files?
Touch on kids,
and blackmail Harvard so they police anti-Semitism and ban people who criticize Israel from being in America. This administration needs to be shut down immediately. It has forfeited its mandate. They promise no new wars. They promise mass deportations in America first, and we're not getting any of it. So shut it down. In 2026, shut it down.
A broken clock is right, twice a day. So, hey. Now, for the end of this video, man, y'all know I gotta bring my blackness into it, some of my black history. But all of the things that America do is not surprising. If you take a look through history, America has did some heinous ass acts.
Today marks 40 years since the city of Philadelphia dropped a bomb on a home on Osage Avenue in Cobbs Creek, targeting the Black liberation group MOVE. City Council voted last week to declare today a day of remembrance and reflection. The resolution was sponsored by...
This is the type of stuff that radicalized me, y'all. Like, just learning about stuff that happened 40 years ago. This stuff wasn't that long ago. These people did everything possible to keep black people down. Sounds cliche, but they literally did. They literally still are.
And you know what's interesting, though? The next time you having a conversation with some white folks and they try to say that, let go of the past and all this kind of stuff, just for shits and giggles, ask them to ask any AI. Now, AI is supposed to be unbiased, but we know it is. And sometimes it can hallucinate or whatever. It's not perfect. But just ask them a simple question like this. Hey, ChatGPT. Hey, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini. What has white people in political spaces done to maintain the white power structure? Or what have white people in office done to hold black people back? And that's all you need. If they read it, they'll be like, damn, this is crazy. And if they be like, man, well, shit, that's not my fault. At least you know if they smart or not. Because if they smart, they can take this information and say, damn, I need to really get off of black people's case. But if they just stupid, they ain't going to try to hear it no way. They can have the data and the facts right in front of them, and it's still going to fall on deaf ears, dog. If you happen to give a fuck. Me, I don't even engage with them as much as I used to no more.
40 years ago. How many of y'all even knew about this? I'm pretty sure half of y'all didn't. Some of y'all did. Dropped a whole bomb on a black neighborhood.
City Council member Jamie Gauthier, who read the names of the 11 people who died on that day in 1985, 5 of them children. The bombing followed an hours-long standoff. The ensuing fire swept down the entire block, destroying 61 homes. A yearly procession to the bombing site is scheduled for this afternoon.
On a quiet morning on May 13, 1985, Philadelphia police dropped a bomb, airstriking the home of MOVE, a black liberation group, setting off a firestorm. As flames engulfed the building and spread to 61 neighboring homes, police ordered firefighters to let it burn. 11 people, including 5 children, died in the blaze. Among them was 12-year-old Delisha Africa, whose remains would resurface decades later in a University of Pennsylvania museum, forcing a painful reckoning with this act of unchecked brutality. Before we can thoroughly discuss this tragedy, it's important to know what MOVE was and what their politics were. MOVE was a group founded in Philadelphia. MOVE advocated for freedom from oppressive systems and often clashed with city authorities who disapproved of their black liberation politics and their communal lifestyle. The tension between MOVE and the police was not something that was new. In 1978, an earlier confrontation between MOVE and the police ended in violence, and by 1985, officials had labeled MOVE a terrorist organization, and alleged neighborhood complaints of noise and sanitation issues were used as justification for further action, and that action turned deadly. The city issued warrants to arrest certain members and evict the group from their West Philly home. Early on the morning of May 13th, police attempted to serve these warrants. Hundreds of officers surrounded the home, and after hours of a tense standoff that included the police firing thousands of rounds of gunfire, the police made the decision that they would shock the world. They dropped 2 bombs on the home and ended up igniting a massive blaze that firefighters on orders let burn.
Bro, bombing a home in Philly is crazy for the simple fact, to my knowledge, they got a lot of those homes that are literally connected, like row homes in Baltimore and shit like that. So if you bomb one of them, you fucking up the rest of them. Crazy. It's just, damn. You know how bad you want to be oppressive when you trying to kill people just because they don't want you to oppress them anymore.
The house were 7 adults and 6 children, none of whom escaped except for 13-year-old Birdie Africa and 1 adult, Ramona Africa. The fire spread rapidly, consuming entire city blocks and leaving over 250 people homeless. The aftermath was a mix of devastation and disbelief. The city of Philadelphia had essentially bombed itself, an event that prompted a public outcry and an investigation. The report released by a special commission called the decision to bomb an unconscionable act. Yet no officers or city officials were ever criminally charged. Ramona Africa, the only adult survivor, however, would later serve prison time for riot and conspiracy. But those who authorized and carried out the bombing faced no punishment.
So this is a tweet right here. And it's just extremely heartbreaking. I never even knew this happened. On January 12, 1962, the U.S. military began its 11-year chemical warfare campaign against the people of Vietnam and Laos, dropping 19 million gallons of harmful chemicals on 20% of both countries, poisoning more than 3 million people and causing over 1 million birth defects. And these are them spraying the stuff. Look at the, bro. Like, the people that do this shit.
Dog, it's very rare where I'll drop my jaw, bro. But this is one of them jaw-dropping moments. I've never seen this. I've never heard of this. This just, oh, Lord, I cannot today, dog. This is so evil, bro. This is like giving people blankets with smallpox. This is just syphilis, the Tuskegee experiment. Like, why are you so evil, bro? Like, what would possess a group of people to do some shit like this?
That send these hits off, bro. You have no soul, dog.
Oh my God.
That's it for this video, though, man. I hope y'all enjoyed. Well, not necessarily enjoy. This shit was actually sad. I know that was probably some of y'all first time hearing about the bombing that happened in Philadelphia, which is just crazy. They bombed their own citizens. I mean, like,
how is that crazy though, man? They've been doing it. They had a long-standing history of doing that kind of stuff. They bombed their own citizens in Greenwood. Right? Black Wall Street, those are American citizens they did, man. During the civil rights movement, I think over 4,000 American homes, black African-American homes, foundational black American homes were bombed. Come on, man. They've been doing this. Breaking in people's houses while they sleeping next to their pregnant wife, man, and blowing their brains out. Like, they've been doing this kind of stuff, dog. 2 citizens using the government to do it. But there's a video that I promised that I'm going to show y'all. Let me get it. For those of you who think that this is just going to be a cakewalk, walk in the park, Iran military capabilities. Let's get into this, y'all.
This is the area. In military terms, if this turns into a war, it would be called a theater. And what we've done is we've presented you with the basic geography so you could see where Iran is and you could see all the Gulf states. All those little points you see with the American flags in circles, that right there, my friends, are U.S. military installations, U.S. military bases. And as you can see, they are all over the place. Let's start with a smaller map, just so you can see the Gulf area, because that's where most of this area is, most of the action will be. And there it is right now. Okay, there it is. All right, Stas, let's get started with this. We understand that the missiles last time there was this type of 12-day war, as they call it, came from an area right here. It's called Shiraz. It's just a little village. It's a valley surrounded by mountains. See that point right there? Yes. Now, that is 500 kilometers. So they have missiles, we know, that go 500 kilometers and beyond that. But let's start with 500 kilometers. Let's talk about the impact that Iran could have shooting those missiles just from 500 kilometers.
Now, Iran's got 3 types of missiles that we're looking at. They've got cruise missiles, they've got ballistic missiles, and they've got hypersonic missiles. Well, they have one type of hypersonic missile. Now, the cruise missiles are mostly in the 250 to 500 range.
Right within that circle.
Right within it. Of course, they could be firing from the edge. I mean, all of this area, what most people don't understand, this is all mountains. Mountains, valleys, forests, caves, natural cave systems all over the place, artificial caves and bases built into these mountains. This whole area is redoubt out.
In other words, you don't know what a missile's going to come from. You don't know. You don't know.
So they could be firing from any of these directions.
So when you say redoubt out, that means they're hidden.
They're hidden. They've got underground bases. They've got some of these areas that literally have elevators that can pop up a missile launcher, shoot off the missiles, and lower it back down.
Trump will tell you, yeah, but we could take those out like within 5 minutes. True or false?
You could if you knew where they were at, and you could get your air assets into place to do it. Technically, you could. How many of them? How well hidden they are? We don't know. That's a state secret.
Say, bro, it's like when Malcolm X said, bro, those who know won't tell, and those who tell don't know. Straight up. So you don't know where these damn missile launchers at, bro? Straight up, man. This is how in Vietnam they was killing so many Americans, because they was using straight guerrilla warfare. They knew the layout of the land. They had trenches. They had holes dug and shit like that, bro. You'll fall on some spikes or something, bro. Like, this is not going to be an easy war.
That's interesting that you would say that, because it's not only, let's say, this 500 kilometer. Let's go to 1,000 kilometers if we could, so I can show them the next area that we're talking about. Okay, now we're at 1,000 kilometers. Right. Tell us about the distinction or the difference between those two.
See that?
No, first of all, just to add on to what I was saying before that, just to understand how difficult it is to find a launcher. Desert Storm, U.S. had full air dominance. Iraq's right there, open, flat desert. Not a single Scud launcher was ever destroyed. They couldn't find them.
Really?
The Air Force couldn't find them.
I just flew over Iran the other day. Yeah. When you look down from that plane, it looks like Mars.
It is.
It's just, all you see is desert and hills and mountains, and it's like, who the hell could find anything in there?
Exactly. That's the whole point. So when they say we could find anything we want, they're lying. They're absolutely lying.
Let's go to 1,000. There it is right now, going all the way to Saudi Arabia and Iraq. What would be the impact?
Now, first of all these bases combined, there used to be 56,000 troops on there. They've lowered that down to about 26,000. So they evacuated 30,000 troops. But there's 30,000 troops, American troops, that's Air Force, Army, Navy, on these bases that are in striking range. And when you're talking
And you know what's crazy? I know 2 people that's in Kuwait.
That's U.S. fighting men and women.
That's right, U.S. fighting men.
Give me that number again.
Right now, 26,000.
26,000.
That's not counting Iraq and Syria. Now,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
So they're all within striking range. They're not very far. They can run from that.
What about, we keep hearing about submarines and aircraft carriers. I think the Abraham Lincoln is over here.
Right. Well, it's actually further down here out in the Indian.
But it's in these waters here.
Right.
That would come into play later.
That would.
And I think I have something that I want to show you. Have we got the video of the military exercises? I wanted you to see this because Iran has just put out videos of military exercises that they're doing to show what they have the capability of doing in those waters that we were just showing in the bottom of the map, which is actually on the floor. Right. Well, this is what they say they can do. I've got 2 videos I'm going to show you here. This is the first one, and hang tight because there's another one coming after this. I want to show you both of these, and then we can comment on them. This next one is them resolutely showing what they can do to take out potentially an aircraft carrier, which their supreme leader has been talking about. What are we seeing in this video? What can we learn or glean from it?
Well, right now what we're seeing is missile gunboats. So this is something that you would use not relatively far out to sea, but in the closer waters, like the Persian Gulf or near waters in the Indian Ocean.
They have missiles?
Of course. That's the number one striking capabilities. They have missiles. They have ship-to-ship missiles. Then you have the problem with the land-bound missiles that they can shoot out.
Right.
Now, here's the kicker.
Okay.
The hypersonic missiles they have, 2,000 kilometer range. Here's the other kicker. If you bring in an aircraft carrier,
2,000 kilometers, bro. 2,000 kilometers. That's probably at least 1,000 to 1,300 miles, bro. 1,000 miles, dog. I think that's from I don't want to be wrong, but 1,000 miles, that's a long distance. That might be from coast to coast in America, like from the West Coast to the East Coast. I'm probably wrong on that. Don't quote me on that, but it ain't, that's a far distance that they can send one of them things.
Within strike range for the F-18s, F-16s, you're looking at about 1,000 kilometer range before the planes have to be refueled. The refuelers have to come from Cyprus or Israel or these other areas, because these
So y'all get the gist, dog. This is not going to be no easy fight, bro. Straight up, man. Shout out to Antonio, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you got some hypes left over, I need them like a crackhead need a pipe. I'm going to get at y'all on the next one.